the topic is urgent because let's face it, we eat a lot of junk food, our climate is changing, and we are not treating our bodies well. Thus, we age poorly. Aging, thus, is considered as a very depressive event, but should it be so? This is a question, the answer is very long and very debatable. So I'm directly going to open this talk here by asking a question to all three of you. How do you look at longevity? And what do you think of longevity? Sophia or Gopisa, whoever.
Firstly, thank you very much for the invitation to be here, and thank you for the great question about what longevity is. I'll speak as a physician and a scientist. Longevity is more than your chronological age. Okay, so your chronological age is the number of years you have on the clock. It's your birthday, and you can't change that. What I focus on when I think about longevity is biological age. Now, biological age is the aging of your cells and your tissues. And the good news is you can do something about that. So for me, longevity is thinking, how can I change mindset, my movement, my way of, my metabolism to help my cells and my tissues move or age in a fashion that helps me to live a longer and healthier life. So that's what longevity is to me.
I think, first of all, thank you very much for inviting us here. And I think Dr. Sophia has told the science part of it. And I think as an expert, we now know that this subject is being spoken about. Earlier in the day, we never used to speak this longevity subject, and the people who just would age, but ठीक है काम कर रहा है तो बात ठीक है. That is the kind of attitude. But for me, actually, this whole subject, when I dwell deeper or think, comes at two different levels, the mind and the soul in some sense. And in Varanasi, you have to talk that language, I guess. Longevity for me, from a body's perspective, is what Dr. Sophia has spoken about. It's you age better. You're able to do things which you're able to do, which you want to do, and the body doesn't hinder yourself. Or you shouldn't stop something because you're aging. And you should be mentally relaxed and do it in an easier fashion. Then the second part of it, I think, is to even think longer. And this is from a soul's perspective. That is what I think is also the purpose of human life, is to ensure that your soul, when it comes back, it is coming back with lesser baggage next time. So you're cleaning off your karmas more in this lifetime, and that is real longevity for me. I think a mix of it is very important. The mind and the body, the mind to be relaxed, the body to be capable, and the soul to be better prepared for the next life or the afterlife.
So it is all about the balance, and it does seem like Varanasi has gotten the spiritual side out of you. Kashyap, why don't you also?
Namaste Varanasi, thank you for having us here. If I were to ask you what is your birthday, all of you will know what is your age and when you were born, how many years. But as the focus of the longevity book, as Dr. Sophia said, is about biological age. So each organ of your body, be it the brain, be it the heart, be it other organs, they have a different age. That's the biological age. So from an AI point of view, longevity ka matlab, so AI is not artificial intelligence, but augmenting intelligence. So can it help retain and extend the serviceable life of these organs? Like Elon Musk says, he's going to put a neural link, which will become your second brain or an extension to that brain. So that to be extending purposeful, like you mentioned purposeful human lifespan, that is longevity.
So I have one follow-up question for you. How do you use AI to reduce stress in life? Please, might as well.
Oh, that's a tough question, because there is a lot of talk about AI making you lose jobs. So because of that, there is a lot of stress. But in general, AI can be a good assistant. Like I have this Apple Watch. It actually is like a second doctor. It is keeping and monitoring, and it's measuring probably about 20, 30 vital signs of right now I'm a little nervous, so my heart rate would have gone up a little bit. or it has all of these specific things. And then there are so many applications that you can build off that. So when we're talking about stress, we first need to be aware that you need to be stressful. So we sometimes don't recognize it, but there are so many digital apps and tools which leverage AI, which can help you be conscious of doing that. And there are several medical applications. You can detect things before they actually happen. So lots of applications out there.
Right. So again, this question is for all three of you. Detect things before they happen. Do you think India as such does not kind of follow this particular thing, that we only treat diseases when they happen and not before they happen? And how have we as a country done in terms of health over the last 40 years?
When I think about health, well, actually the WHO thinks about health. They say that health is not just the absence of sickness. It's also about having an entire feeling of well-being, not just physically, but also in your mind. So if I reflect back not just to India, but to other countries in the world where I've lived, healthcare isn't really health then. It's actually sick care, because what we're doing as physicians is treating problems all the time. And that's how we're trained. When I did my MBBS starting in 1994, I studied disease. So it's no wonder that the practitioners of today and even those of tomorrow are very disease focused. And I think this is a shortcoming, because what I found, and part of the ethos for writing this book, is that actually we should not be thinking so much about fixing disease. Prevention is great, but often it can be too late. What we should be thinking about is really building resilience. And by resilience, I mean your ability to bounce back, right? Everyone knows what resilience means at some level. You have a resilient person or a resilient community. At the biological level, it's the ability of the body to bounce back and to adapt and then to maintain and to carry on. And I think that's what's important to build. If we don't build resilience as an individual or a society, it's no wonder then that our health is at risk. And that's the reason why I was so thrilled to partner with Gopichand, because he looks at building resilience from a coach perspective. And I think it's very apt now that I hand over to him.
Well, there are a lot of young students here. So I think it's a question for all of us, right? हम बचपन में या हमारे माँ बाप हमसे फिट है, हमारे ग्रैंड पेरेंट्स हमसे फिट है, वो लोग जो कर सकते हैं हम लोग नहीं कर सकते, ये एक्चुअली हकीकत है. तो क्या हो रहा है कि हमारे ज़िंदगी में पिछले 30 साल अगर हम देखेंगे तो वी एज ए नेशन हैव ग्रोन अल्फ़ाबेटिकली, वी कैन रीड एंड राइट बेटर. We as a nation have grown numerically in a mathematical terms. We can understand math better than what our previous generation has done. But we as a nation have gone down physically. If crawling, walking, running, throwing, jumping in some sequence was physical literacy, we as a nation have gone down physically in the last 30 years. And this is very reflective in our health. So much so to the point that China can boast of increasing its height of a generation over the last 100 years by close to 8 to 10 centimeters. We as a nation cannot say that. We probably are flat, or there are some scary statistics which is actually saying that we are growing shorter. And this is scary statistics. Our vocabularies have become better. We can articulate ourselves better, but our movement vocabulary has become lesser. Our parents can squat and get up. We cannot squat and get up. We cannot climb up a tree or a mountain or a hill as much as our parents or grandparents can easily do. We are struggling. Add to this, a generation which is growing on phones is actually going to give you some more stats which are bad. हम लोग जो भी 50 साल के या 30-40 साल के भी है, उनको ऐसा लगता है कि गन्ना जब मिलेगा, मतलब शुगर केन जब मिलेगा हम तोड़ के खा सकते हैं, देर इज़, और अखरोट मिलेगा तो हम दांत उससे तोड़ सकते हैं. बट इमेजिन अ न्यू जनरेशन, व्हेन डिड दे एवर चूज समथिंग हार्ड?
Yeah.
What is their bite force going to be? Are their jaws and teeth going to be strong? No, because they've never experienced it. Imagine a generation which is going to grow up where they have never walked on uneven surfaces. मेरे बचपन में याद है कि मैं बिना जूते बाहर ही चलता था. हम लोग स्कूल जूते पहन के जाते थे और हम खेलने जूते निकाल के जाते थे. That is how childhood was. So I have a great arch and I don't have so many problems with my feet. But imagine a kid who's born in a hospital. When did he ever walk on uneven surfaces? How will his foot and fingers know how to grip, or his toes know how to grip the ground? And where will his arch be formed? If it is not, this is what we have. 9 out of 10 urban kids have flat feet. And our rural India is not far behind. Almost 8 out of 10 have flat feet. Knock knees are resultant. Back pain is resultant. At 30, we have these problems. So I think fundamentally, physical activity and sport for every kid is even more important, because you have a Zen Alpha, Zen Z actually growing on phones. So your physical activity is not there. Your movement vocabulary is not there. Unfortunately, our air and water and soil are not good enough. So a Viksit Bharat for 2047 built on the foundations of a weak knees and a bad body cannot be progressive enough. So I think we need health span, what Dr. Sophia is talking about. When I met her and when she spoke, I said, boss, this is what India needs. We don't have to end up with diabetes. My grandfather at 96, who's perfectly all right, who's never gone to a doctor, is fundamentally so good. My father and mother at 80, touch wood, are still good. I can't say the same about a 30-year-old who is going to work in a software company, because we don't know what they are. I have had my spine surgeon who came up to me and said, medicos of second year having back surgeries, because for the last 6 years they've been going to school and sitting in a chair and studying. This is scary stuff. If in India needs to focus on something, it is this which we have to focus on. It's fundamentally the most important thing. And resilience is what Dr. Sophia spoke about. I think our kids have not played sport. They have not known how to lose and get up. They have never failed in an exam. I think all of you are from a great school. I think your school doesn't fail you enough, because education doesn't fail you. They teach you that all of you have passed and promoted, and we take pride in it. But resilience is about falling, is about failing, is it about getting up, whether it's in emotionally or even physically. I think it's fundamentally the most important thing. So I think we need to be there in those places. We need to fail enough. We need to expose our children to fail enough. We need to get out there and fall enough, because that is how resilience is going to be built. It can't be built over a pep talk when you get to 40 or 50, or a psychologist or a psychiatrist. It's not going to be a pill. It has to be developed over small habits over long periods of time. I'll stop here. I think it's a long answer for a short question.
Everybody who is hearing here, the next thing you have to do is go get scraped knees, fall, play, be in the sun. But again, I have a follow-up question. It's a two-part question for all three of them. In a country where the subject of sports or physical education is treated as an optional subject, or it's, well, a buffer, not even a clear choice, how do we integrate that into ecosystem, and how do we integrate preventive healthcare for adults into our ecosystems? We can answer this first, yeah.
Sure.
I think that's quite a powerful answer that Gopi gave. So I'm still reflecting on that. So, like, we have a lot of school children. Your management is also here, but I see in my daughter's school, they always cancel the sports class. So sports का period जो है, some other teacher takes it, maths syllabus finish करना है, physics syllabus finish करना है. So we are actively signaling to our children that this is not important. तो वो नहीं कर सकते हैं. So in our vision to be a Viksit Bharat by 2047, we really need to have a Khelo Bharat movement. So the signals has to come from everybody. So like Gopi, I also am from the Telugu-speaking state. So Messi, the footballer Messi, was in India recently. So the Chief Minister of Telangana actually went and played football with Messi. So it is signaling that sports are important. So the sports are important. He went and played, and there was a lot of coverage. So I saw like not just the politicians, but our leaders, etc. Everybody should be able to do that. And it's not just for children. Right now, like let us say 10% of our country is more than 65 years old. But by 2047, it will double. 20% of our country is going to be senior citizens. So that will be 35 crore people. So we have to start now. How do we encourage children who are now who will be the future of our country? How do we make them more active? How do we make them get going? So this is like a concerted effort that requires from educationists, from civil society, from leaders, and from medical experts like Dr. Sophia and role models like Gopi.
When I think about the change in the ecosystem that has to happen, I reflect as a physician first. I think, education has to change. We talked about schools, but also when it comes to university, you talked about that second year medical student. We have to change the way we think as physicians and healthcare providers and not have that disease-focused mindset, but actually to think about, again, building resilience and problem solving for good. I don't ever recalling having any lectures around sleep, why it's so good for you, how to manage stress, why nutrition is so important. All of these are actually the building blocks for building resilience, which means people don't end up getting disease. So I think that change has to happen at an institutional level, at university levels when we provide curricula. And that also means it has to filter back down to the school level. But also it means that people of this generation or my generation have to be willing to embrace change. It's very hard when I'll be 50 this year to go back and say what I learned wasn't the best or optimal for society now. So we have to be ready to embrace change at all levels of society and all levels of the education ecosystem.
That's I think, as good as it gets, the answer. My next question is going to be, well, let's keep it a little simple this time. How important is discipline for the body? This is for you.
I think for anybody who's achieved anything, I think discipline is fundamental. Whether it's education or you're a writer or anything in any field. I think in the last few years, what I've realized is, how do you find enthusiasm after failure in the same field is very important. How do you go back and dwell deeper into the subject is something which is very, very important. I think at the end of it, how do you trick yourself to be in the same arena for long enough to learn more and more about it over 10, 20, 30 years, because life is not a sprint. It is a marathon with an occasional sprint in between. I think that fundamental idea is, I think, what is important for us to embrace. And discipline is not like something which you, for me, or mental strength is not something which is like you burst out there and stuff. It's small things consistently done over periods of time. But even if you fail to, say for example, you decide to eat clean or not be out of social media for a day, or then suddenly in between you end up messing it up, to forgive yourself and start off again and say, I'm going to try it again. And you mess up again and you say, forget it. And you say, the art of letting go, the art of forgetting, and like a childlike enthusiasm, go out there and try again and again. And I think that for me is what is discipline. It is about the small things which you try to do and you overcome. It's almost like buckets in the drop of self-discipline. And the bigger those drops are collected, I think the more disciplined you could be.
That's a brilliant answer.
I just want to quickly throw one incident. So one of Gopi's students had won an Olympic gold medal. So there was a lot of interviews at that point in time. Then the media asked her, so what do you want to do? What's your plan? You won the Olympic gold medal. Gold medal? Yeah. So she says, I'm going to go and eat an ice cream now. He hasn't let me eat an ice cream for 3 months, 4 months, etc. So that is discipline. Discipline, there is a longer goal, but you have to do so many small things more disciplinedly before you can reach that goal.
I can't add more to those two answers. In fact, I learned so much from Gopichand in our discussions about discipline and what it means. So I thank you for that very much. For me, it's about consistency and being kind to yourself and forgiving. And with that, I must say that I'm forgiving of myself, but I hope you will be forgiving to me too. Because I literally have to rush off right now to catch a flight because I came specially for this meeting from Saudi Arabia. I need to go back to Mumbai and then back to Saudi. So please be forgiving of me, but I will leave you in the good company of erstwhile and esteemed authors. So thank you very much for having me.
Continuing from where we left, so we were talking about how to keep the inner child alive and the enthusiasm on. So I think, guys, that is the secret to look 30 when you're 50. That's how it is, and we should aspire to look like that when we all grow old, and not just look, but also be internally strong. Because sometimes, as Kashyap sir said a while ago, that you may look healthy, but you may not be healthy from the inside. I have a question related to this, is what is personalized healthcare? And Kashyap can answer this better. And how do we achieve this? And I will come to you with a very relevant question soon.
So I think when we go to a doctor, so what happens is they have studied in medicine what has worked on others, on large groups of studies. So for example, just to give an example, a lot of the medicine, the allopathic medicine that we have is based on Western experiments, Western clinical trials. But as the book notes, there are 18% of the world's population is of Indian origin, in India and outside of India. So our genetic makeup, our everything is very different from other countries, people from other countries. So we need to have our own body of knowledge, experiments, more experiments and trials that are conducted on our this thing, to be able to say, okay, this works on these diseases or these conditions are more prevalent in this kind of population, so we need that. So that's the first level. After we take care of that, each individual body, you'll know, like, is very different. So here we can use a lot of data, like I mentioned about having these different types of data. The same medicine that works for Gopi or you won't work for me, not in the same dosage, etc. But now we are in a medical system, in a healthcare system where it takes the average. But now we are able to, because of digital technologies, data technologies, we are able to bring in more personalization because we are able to separate the genetic, the conditions that are related to the genetics, the conditions that are related to each individual body, the conditions that are related to the psychological thing. So we are able to sort of take care of each of these specific aspects and also based on age and describe. So to give you one example, like they say India is like the diabetes capital of the world. There's a lot of diabetes out here, etc. because our sweets are so good. But what happens is, right now you have some devices called continuous glucose monitors, which if you put on yourself, they automatically give you your own personal reaction to a food that you eat. How is your blood sugar changing, etc. So that gives you much more and greater clarity, greater granular control over how these conditions can be treated. You take this data back to the doctor and they can analyze instead of just one thing. So that kind of opportunity is available for most conditions or becoming available. So this is the way we can bring personalization into medicine. As I joke, like this will become your doctor, this device that you will be wearing will become your doctor and your coach in the future. Not as good as Gopi or Dr. Sophia, but in general, we'll have that.
One more follow-up question, and you can definitely answer this, is that either one of you, I'm saying that when you get into personalized healthcare, when you start monitoring everything too closely, does it make people anxious and then do they feel sick in their mind and probably not feel healthy? Is over-monitoring bad?
Yeah, I think couple of points would be very relevant. One is in a real world, this is what's happened, right? So I have this watch which tells me that I have recovered. Today my recovery is 91% and my body is saying, boss, I'm tired. So sometimes you feel all right, and the board and the monitor is saying you're tired. So I think some of my athletes actually remove these monitors when they are playing, because you don't want that to be playing on your mind. Because if it gives you good signals, you're fine. But if it doesn't give you good signals, then you're actually emotionally hurt by it. So you want to be careful as one. Trust your intuition, and also try to understand your body by going deeper inside is something which is important. Don't go for the outside all the time. That is one. The second thing of relevance would be that how much of the data is actually collected on Indians, whether it's South Indian, North Indian, East Indian, Northeast Indian. I think they're different Indians. When you say an Indian, they're different people out here. So ethnically, where are we, race, community, all of these. A Gujarati, Marwadi might be very different from a South Indian to a Northeast guy. So I think we need to create our own data bank of things, whether it's related to glucose, whether it's related to muscle health, whether it's related to cardiovascular system, to find out where our baselines are. The second thing I would understand is that we all need to create our own benchmarks of where we are. So if I am starting off, and I don't know how correct this information, I heard that Mahatma Gandhi had blood pressure levels which were very, very high. But it was normal for him. So we need to know what our normal is. So I think we need to deep down dive into these things before we actually start finding out data and believing it. Because trust me, many of these supplements and data are driven by commercial interests and not necessarily by what we need. And the second thing which we as a nation need to understand is that we cannot afford fancy things for a whole lot of us. And we have to be finding our indigenous, desi methodologies of figuring our solutions. So I think a small population can use a lot of these high funda things, but for the country to develop, we need to do a mass movement. Physical movement is important. Good nutrition is important. And when I say nutrition, it starts to build rings, right? So what should my nutrition few years ago told me cornflakes was very, very healthy. But today you realize, boss, this is such a rubbish which they were. I would rather eat a paratha than bread. And I think margarine was at some point good. Mayonnaise was good. And today you say ghee is better. So I think what has been our traditional wisdom, we cannot lose it. We need to get back to it, which is very fundamental. Until the new age technologies and supplements are tested over time, I think I would rather trust our age-old things than what is coming new. So we need to be very careful about, we need to be modern, but don't have to be Western to be modern. I think that's something which my good friend Manish had said, and I think it's very important to actually keep remembering it.
Becoming modern in our own ways by not copying anybody, not by imitation. I think that's also an important lesson. With this, I am going to throw the floor open for questions from the audience. So please, if anyone has any question, Yusuf.
Good afternoon, sirs. My question is for Mr. Gopichand. Sir, you have coached India's best. You've been India's best at the point. You've known to be extremely health conscious. My question is, can you ever be too health conscious? Can you ever overdo it and exert yourself? Is that possible? Is that a thing?
I think I'm obsessed about everything I do. And unfortunately, I think that is a trait which I see with people who are achievers in some sense. but whatever they do, they're obsessed about it. So I think I am. I am, and sometimes I'm too conscious about it. But I need to back off from that sense as well. But if I'm on a diet, and if my mom asks me, or if my grandmom would offer me sweets or fried food or something which is not part of my diet, I would never say no to it. It's okay. So I think it's to be conscious that whatever habits you have are also, and whatever discipline you have should also be something which is acceptable socially to our family, is something which I think is important, and I'm conscious of that point at all points of time. Thank you.
Namaskar, my name is Emank and my question is for Gopiji. Gopiji's skill is one part of a sportsman and the other part is the stamina, the agility and the whole, the discipline with the body. We have always been, as a country, we have been competitive in terms of skill, but not so when we talk about the physicality of a human body. You as someone, I think so, the only one with the holy trinity of sports, which having an Arjuna, Achilles, and a Dronacharya award, and you have seen the transition of turfs across sports. With the advent of AstroTurf, we stopped being competitive in hockey, football, tennis, and so many others. And we haven't done, as you mentioned, what is required in terms of becoming a country which is more conscious of health. So what is it that still gives you hope that we still can be a great sporting nation in the next decade or so? Is there anything firstly which gives you hope, and if it does, what is it?
I think the fact that in the last, say, 10 to 12 years, the government of India, especially our Honorable Prime Minister, has put sports up there, whether it's the Khelo India, Fit India, Yoga Day, or him meeting sports persons before going to the Olympics or Commonwealth or Asian Games, or celebrating every winner, I think has something which is tried to kindle a spirit of sports persons or sportsmanship or a sporting country for our nation. So that's something which has happened. So various schemes and programs in the country is what gives me hope. But for me, the larger question is, it's not about the medals. We as a nation have to grow physically. Our kids have to explore the length and breadth of their physical being. Every one of us, it doesn't matter whether he wins or she wins an Olympic medal, it doesn't even matter. I think each one of them to bloom to their fullest physical potential, to be able to throw a ball as high as it can go or as far as it can go, to jump as high as they can. I think to explore the length and breadth of their physical being is fundamental to India's being a developed nation, or is fundamental to India growing as a nation. So I think for me that is far more important, and that is what a true definition of a sporting nation is for me, where kids are able to move. Like today you ask them to come and deliberate and speak on a subject, they're very articulate. But if they ask them to squat and jump, they're not. Their articulation on the movement side is very limited. Their ability to run, their ability to throw, to jump, to not think of their body before trying to lift something, I think those things are very fundamental to the growth of a nation, and we need to address these things. And the day we address them, we are a sporting nation. I think it is important for us to realize that all of us, whether it's startup, AI, whether it's software, fabs, all of them are fine. But boss, if our kids are not healthy, why are we doing this? So for us to have good air to breathe, to have good water to drink, to have good vegetables which can grow with nutrition, to have healthy habits, to be able to run and walk and climb and jump and dive and not think about it, I think this is fundamental. So I think we need to start going back 3 steps. We need to revive what we have lost, And I think it's very important to take that. And that for me is what a sporting nation is all about. Yes.
Jayant sir, I am Harsh from Delhi Public School, Varanasi. I have a question for you that in the 90s, you underwent 3 surgeries, and to be 3 surgeries, it is career challenging. My question is, how did you overcome that physically and more importantly, mentally from such a great setback?
Well, for all of you who may not have known, when I was 20 years old, I had an anterior cruciate ligament of my left knee broken, and I had a surgery, and in 96 I had a surgery, and in 98 I had a surgery, and in 2001 I won the All England, and in 2002 I had a right knee surgery. So I had 4 knee surgeries back to back when I was younger. I was very thankful. I'm very thankful to my doctor, Dr. Ashok Rajgopal, for having done those surgeries. My parents and family for the support for me to get back. That's one. And I think a crucial element of getting back is celebrating what you have and gratitude for what you have. That is fundamentally very important. Don't think about what you don't have, but feel happy and good about what you have. So the day you walk, celebrate walking. The day you run, celebrate running. The day you play, celebrate playing. And the day you win, you celebrate winning. But that progression cannot happen by thinking of what you don't have and forgetting what you have. So I think it's very important. So God's grace is what I think made this whole thing happen. And I think it's a dream. It's His grace that I have been able to play. Thank you.
It's amazing. So gratefulness is the key to endurance.
That's it. I'm just, I think they will take us to taste. One last question was, they shouldn't take it us. That's it, what kind of a question?
थैंक यू सर, आप लोगों ने जो इनलाइटन किया हमें उसके लिए धन्यवाद कहूँगा. और गोपी सर, आपको स्पेशली हमने बहुत नज़दीक से आज समझा और जाना कि आप एक सिर्फ प्लेयर ही नहीं हैं, आप बहुत कुछ समझते हैं, बहुत कुछ जानते हैं. 2 चीज़ें मैं समझना चाह रहा था कि फार्मा सेक्टर में बहुत ज़्यादा बूम है, बहुत ज़्यादा डेवलपमेंट है, अलॉट ऑफ डेवलपमेंट इन फार्मा सेक्टर्स. तो जब भी हम डॉक्टर को विज़िट करते हैं तो डॉक्टर कोई 1 मेडिसिन देता है, कोई डॉक्टर 5 मेडिसिन देता है. एंड दे टेल अस कि जैसे खाना खाना ज़िंदगी के लिए महत्वपूर्ण है, वैसे ही ये दवाइयाँ खाना भी उतना ही महत्वपूर्ण है. अगर दवाई खाओगे तो ज़िंदा रहोगे, अदरवाइज नो. तो आज की जो जनरेशन है, जब भी हम डॉक्टर्स को विज़िट कर रहे हैं तो वहाँ पे ये दिक्कत आ रही कि हम ठीक नहीं हो रहे, हम कंटिन्यू हो रहे सेम फ्रेम में जगह. सेकंड क्वेश्चन इज़ कि ये हमारी जनरेशन को कौन बताएगा कि हमारी मेंटल और फिजिकल हेल्थ को हमको कैसे ठीक रखना है. क्या ये हमारा पार्ट ही शायद हो सकता है, मेरा ये क्वेश्चन इस प्लेटफॉर्म के लिए ना हो सर, लेकिन शायद ये कहीं जाए आपके थ्रू जो है कि हम अपनी जनरेशन को कैसे अवेयर करें अपने स्कूल से. क्योंकि फिजिक्स तो पढ़ना है, केमिस्ट्री तो पढ़ना है, मैथ्स तो पढ़ना है, हिंदी तो पढ़ना है, लेकिन अपनी मेंटल हेल्थ और फिजिकल हेल्थ को कैसे ठीक करना है उसे कौन पढ़ाएगा उसे, हाउ ही नो. तो दीज आर माई 2 क्वेश्चंस कि फार्मास्यूटिकल डॉक्टर्स एंड स्कूल स्टिल कि बच्चों को हम कहाँ से अवेयर करेंगे, किस तरह से अवेयर करेंगे कि वो अपनी मेंटल हेल्थ और फिजिकल हेल्थ. कई बार बहुत लेट हो जाता है मुझे जानने में, शायद मैं अपने 50s में हूँ, आज शायद मैं आपसे अवेयर हो रहा हूँ, चीज़ों को समझ पा रहा हूँ, ठीक से समझ पा रहा हूँ, लेकिन कई मेडिसिन शायद मेरी स्टार्ट हो चुकी होंगी जो है, लेकिन शायद मैं उस एज में जाना होता, समझा होता जब ये ज़रूरत थी मुझे, तो शायद मैं इस स्टेज पे नहीं पहुँच पाता सर. So if you want to give your answer.
See, the doctor on our panel had a flight to catch, so बहुत जल्दी हो गया. So I'm not a doctor, but see, I'll tell you about the mental health part of it. क्योंकि इंडिया में mental health is underserved. जितने सारे डॉक्टर्स होना चाहिए वो नहीं है, बिकॉज अपने यहाँ पे एक स्टिग्मा है. अगर आप लाइक बाकी कंट्रीज़ में आप देखें तो US में देखें तो मेंटल हेल्थ पे इतना स्टिग्मा नहीं है. Like most of the people visit their mental health doctor twice a year. उनका इंश्योरेंस भी कवर करता है. हमारा if somebody goes to a psychiatrist, बोलते ये mental case है, so social stigma है. So we need to do that internal reflection की why are we keeping these taboos. It's a natural part of the human condition. सबको होता है कहीं ना कहीं in sometimes during your life. So we need to have that creating infrastructure. अगर आप statistics देखें, so the first thing is the number of mental health psychiatrists, trained psychiatrists and psychologists that you need in this country is much lower because of all of these things. So उसको improve कर सकते हैं, उसके improve करने के बाद आ जाएगा. So that's some steps that we can take. Your second question of the incentives of pharma sector. See, pharma sector makes money if patients fall ill. Otherwise, they won't make money. So they're doing a wonderful service. Pharma sector is wonderful service, but लेकिन उनका भी पैसा कमाना है. So they run through their incentives. But like as the book says, what we have in India, and this is how Dr. Sophia also has said, not just in India but anywhere else in the world, is not a healthcare system. It is a sick care system. Like you go to a doctor not when you're healthy. So we need to have that shift from the health system's point of view to make it more preventive and holistic healthcare. So इस book में also लिखा गया है कि, which is that not just modern science, but there is a lot of wisdom in traditional knowledge systems. So a lot of the traditional knowledge systems, like for example, मैं Washington Post में 2 हफ्ते पहले एक article पढ़ रहा था. बहुत सारे supplements है. So Gopi ji has said supplements are a fad. Not all of them will work. So they looked at the medical literature and said the only supplement that has a very strong evidence that works, आप सबको पता होगा, psyllium husk, मतलब isabgol. आप सबको isabgol पता होगा ना? So isabgol is one supplement that works. So we have a lot of knowledge, traditional knowledge, which we should not ignore. So like Gopi said, there is going to be like, we need to be Indians but with a modern outlook.
True.
So if we take the best of elements of both of these things, I think some of those issues can be addressed. But by agree, it's not like an individual solution. It's a systemic solution. Systemic solution, but I'm not an expert on that. But as an, what do I say, informed citizen, ये सब मैं देख सकता हूँ.
Okay, sir.
Thank you.
My last question back. Who will aware us? Cesarean child is more healthy or normal delivery child is more healthy? This is not question for you, but it's a tough. How we aware that? How our children aware that? How our society aware that?
Yes, sir.
This is my last question.
From my point, I think this question, I think only a proper research, and even a doctor won't answer it. I think more research can answer it. But I think for me, the previous answer, I think when we have family structures being broken up, हमारे पास मेरा कोई प्रॉब्लम होता तो मैं ग्रैंडमदर के पास चला जाता था, ग्रैंडफादर के पास चला जाता था. सो हमारा जो फैमिली स्ट्रक्चर्स अगर ब्रेक हो रहा है, हमारा गुरु शिष्य परंपरा अगर ब्रेक हो रहा है, हमारा जो आस्था है वो ब्रेक हो रहा है, सो मेंटल इश्यूज क्रीप इन लॉट मोर. तो हमारे ऐसा है कि हम नेदर ईस्ट में है या वेस्ट में है, हम बीच में कहीं अटक रहे हैं. तो मैं सोचता हूँ कि एजुकेशन सिस्टम में काफ़ी रिफॉर्म की ज़रूरत है, और हमारा जो बेसिक नॉलेज सिस्टम्स है, हमारा एंशिएंट विजडम है, उसको हम इतना जल्दी से बाहर के इन्फ्लुएंस के लिए छोड़ना नहीं चाहिए. सो आई थिंक दीज आर 2 points which I think are important from my point of view. But yes, I think many of those things are very deep questions related to pharma and medical. I think I'm not an expert, nor I would want to dwell into those. I would only say that we have few strengths which we have over time, which is knowledge gained over centuries. We should not lose them in the face of what is called Western, or because most of it driven by markets rather than real good of the people. Yeah, thank you.
So, as we come to the end of this talk, I would urge all of you to read this book, Longevity Code, which Gopi sir has written with Dr. Sophia. The book has great insights on how to age optimally, and well, it has a lot of great advice from Gopi sir on how to eat and well, just be better. So do buy this online. I hope it's out there in the bookstore. So that's it. That's us signing off. Thank you.